Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fasting with a Footballer. This time I'm joined by Cheick Diabate, Exeter City's centre-half. Cheick, thank you for joining us today.
No worries, no worries.
Obviously we're almost halfway through Ramadan now. How's it going for you so far?
It's going very well. Spiritually, it's having a good effect on me, and I guess that's like all Muslims as well. It's a month where spiritually you get closer to our Lord, to Allah. Also where we just get, become better Muslims, where we focus on our religion the most. So in terms of that, it's going well. Also, I've definitely shredded a lot of fat as well, so that's good. Obviously, no food and water during the day is good for our bodies. But no, all in all, I'm enjoying it. Ramadan's a month we always look forward to, so yeah, it's going very well.
Of course, and before we get into more detail about that, I have to ask about the injury. Obviously, it does affect what you can do. How's the injury so far at the moment?
Well, I mean, it's getting better. Obviously, at first I was gutted because it's the second time it's happened this season. But as Muslims, we believe everything happens for a reason. That's part of our faith, that you need to accept that everything happens for a reason. So with time, I accepted it and I just dealt with it. But coming in has helped me, seeing the boys every day and still being in that environment, it's been good for me. So.
Of course, and obviously being injured has its own complications and requirements that you have to do in terms of dietary stuff. Whilst fasting, you've played whilst fasting now, and you've played whilst you've not played whilst fasting as well. What's the sort of difference between playing whilst fasting and obviously being injured whilst fasting? Is there anything major that you can point out?
So obviously when you're playing whilst you're fasting, you need to be more careful with what you're eating than when you're fasting and not playing. So when I was fasting and playing, obviously I was eating more healthy and, eating basically the right foods. But now that I'm injured, I've kind of got the license to maybe have like a pain au chocolat, a brioche, stuff like that, nice pastries, because I'm not playing. It's not really going to affect my performance. It's not going to affect me in the gym. So in terms of that, it's a bit different. But still, I'm still, keeping an eye on what I'm eating, making sure that it's always healthy, because at the end of the day, I'm a professional athlete and we've got to look after our bodies, yeah.
And would you say potentially it's tougher going through rehabilitation whilst fasting, just because obviously you have to sort of get the proteins and get all those nutrients in to recover your injury?
Yeah, I would say it's harder in some aspects, yeah. Obviously when you're playing, it's harder because you need to get a lot of stuff in, and when you're fasting, as the month goes on, you can't eat as much, you can't drink as much, purely because your stomach shrinks. That's just an effect that fasting has on you. And I guess it's the same when you're injured as well. You got to get certain things in, and when you're full, you don't really feel like getting them in. So yeah, it's hard in all different ways.
And on the flip side then, playing whilst fasting, you're a centre-back obviously, you have to be so vocal when you're playing centre-half. What's it like whilst fasting as a centre-back?
I feel like, to be fair, in all positions it's kind of the same thing. I remember last season when I was playing and fasting, Rochdale at home, we won 2-0, and I just remember my mouth being so dry. It was a 3 p.m. kickoff, so I had a bit of energy compared to like when we played Barrow on the Tuesday. It felt like I was a dead man walking. Like, I was so hungry, I was just thinking about food and water, and I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't play to the best of my ability. But that's because it was the evening kickoff, closer to the iftar time. That's when we break our fast. So no, it's very challenging. It's hard mentally. You got to be tough mentally to do it. But it's got a lot of advantages.
That being said then, we saw yesterday in terms of Tottenham and Everton playing together, the game was paused in the 26th minute to allow the players to break their fast. It had me thinking, do players fasting prefer maybe the early kickoff when you've got a lot more energy, but then you've got the rest of the day to see off? Or would you prefer, like you said, the evening one was quite tough, but then you can potentially break your fast and then regenerate that energy? Which one do you prefer in terms of early kickoff, late kickoff?
It depends on the player, but me personally, I prefer the earlier kickoffs, because I feel like that's when I've got the most energy compared to when it's a later kickoff, let's say at like 7:45 p.m. And that's just when my energy's at its lowest, because that's when I've been fasting for almost the whole day. But obviously 3 a.m, it's much easier because you've got more energy.
Yeah, of course, and we've spoken about the difficulties of fasting, but how much has Exeter City actually helped you to perform your religion and really make the most of this month?
No, they've been very good supporters. They always have been. They help with everything, with when I need a room to pray in when we go away. They're always there to support all the staff members, even my teammates. So obviously you've got to be grateful for that, because that might not be the case at other places. So I'm in a place where obviously they care about that stuff a lot. So it's good to see.
And in terms of training, Ben, do you sort of tailor your training sessions when you are fit or when you're not fit? Do you tailor it depending on whether you're fasting or not?
Nah, sessions are the same. So you train like everyone else. You do the same work as everyone else. Obviously it's harder because you don't have food or water, but I feel like fasting gives you a burst of energy a lot of the times. So you can still perform at your highest when you're fasting. That's not an issue.
Yeah, and speaking of food and water, then, how does your daily sort of food intake change when you're on fasting? Because obviously you've got that shorter period, Ben, to get all the calories that you need to take in. How does it change?
So it changes in terms of that. So when we're able to break our fast, obviously we eat as much as we can. You get filled up quite quickly, and then you do whatever. Normally we go to the mosque, and then you come back, you go to sleep. Then you wake up at dawn time, and you eat a bit more there. But at dawn time, it's more, you're eating more like porridge, like slow release, carbohydrates, toast, milk, a lot of water as well. And yeah, so in the evening you'll have more like the pastas, the rice and the chicken and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah, of course. And I actually spoke to a nutritionist before this, and they said that most professional athletes will turn to liquid calories to sort of get that calorie intake in. Would you say that's similar for you?
I don't do that, to be fair, but I would see why they do that, because maybe it helps them get more in. So I can see the common sense behind that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so your teammates then, obviously they know you're fasting. Have any of them actually joined along with you, potentially tried it for a day and struggled? Because I know some of my friends do that.
Yeah, surprisingly, Sam Nombe, before Ramadan, he told me he was going to do the whole thing with me except for match days. Obviously, I didn't believe him at first. I was like, yeah, you're just saying it. And then Ramadan came and he ended up doing it. And he's doing well, to be fair. He hasn't skipped a day. He hasn't cheated, as far as I'm concerned. He might have cheated, I don't know. Last season, Cheick Diabate done 1 day. And I think this season he's planning to do like a whole week. So yeah, that shows that people are interested and they want to see what it's like, and I guess people want to experience it as well to see what it's like.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. How does it make you feel when you see your teammates doing that stuff in support of you, but then also does it give you more strength to carry on going through it?
No, it makes me happy that obviously we live in a diverse world. There's a lot of Muslims, there's a lot of people from all different religions and races, and obviously that brings people together. Do you know what I mean? It's good to see, and yeah, it obviously makes me feel very happy.
And you spoke about diversity. You've spent most of your career in the West Country. What is it like doing Ramadan here? Do you have a lot of people that you can celebrate, say Eid, that's round the corner now?
Yeah, I know a lot of people at the mosque because I go there quite regularly. A lot of people at the university around my age. I meet a lot of people at the mosque, and through me playing football, a lot of them notice me when I go. So I talk to a lot of people, and this place has been my home for 5 years now. So yeah, I know quite a lot of people. I can spend Eid here, and Ramadan here is always nice as well because of the people I know at the mosque. So.
Of course, and as we're speaking, the under-18s are coming to have their food. How does it make you feel in terms of seeing people eat? Does that really affect you in any sense, or is that all right with you?
Obviously, the food looks nice, but it doesn't really affect you that much. I would say when you're like a kid, that's when it can affect you. But when you're more grown and more mature, it doesn't really affect you too much. But obviously, if I see a fat pizza in front of me, I'm gonna think, oh, that's or like a burger. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no, it's not that bad.
You and me both. That being said, obviously Ramadan's almost coming to an end now. We've got maybe 2 and a bit more weeks left. Have you started planning for Eid? Have you got anything planned? And what's a normal Eid look like in the Diabate family?
Well, a normal Eid will be waking up early to go to the mosque and praying the Eid prayer. Me and all your friends and family, then going home and meeting up with cousins or aunties and just coming together, eating nice food, and just spending good time together. But I think this season, Eid is going to be on the 22nd or the 21st. So I'm going to be in Sheffield anyways.
Yeah.
So I won't be able to celebrate Eid with my family, unfortunately. That's just how it is. And yeah, so well, Eid, I'll probably be spending Eid in Sheffield, either on the Friday night in my hotel or travelling up, or Saturday night during the game. So.
Yeah, of course. And now, before we go, I'll fire some quick fire questions at you, because obviously some Muslims do different things during Ramadan. I've got a few maybe split down the middle, so I just want to get your take on it. So first up, do you break your fast with a date, or do you break it with water first?
So you break your fast with a date, because that's the sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him. A sunnah means that it's a way, or what the Prophet, peace be upon him, did. So as Muslims, obviously we follow the Prophet, and in whatever he done, the way he lived his life, the way, everything he done, and then that's what he did. So he would eat the date first and then drink water.
And then some people will wait until they finish their meal to go pray their Maghrib prayers, but are you more of a have your date, go pray, and then come back?
So I would have like 3 dates, then I'll drink water, then I'll go and pray, and then I'll come back, have my meal, and then after that go to the mosque.
Yeah, of course. And would you rather lead those prayers, or would you rather be led in your prayers?
So obviously going to the mosque, you would rather be led by other people, because the imams, they've got more knowledge, they know more of the Quran than you, and their recitation is beautiful, do you know what I mean? If you've heard the recitation of the Quran, then you'll know what I'm speaking about. But in terms of concentration, when you're leading yourself, you're able to concentrate more, because you're more focused on reciting it properly. And so I would say at 50-50.
Yeah, of course. And then when you come back from your prayers, are you sort of type to stay up, wait until the morning meal, or do you go to bed, set an alarm, come back?
If it's an off day, if I got an off day the next day, I could stay up the whole night. But when I've got work, when I've got to come into train, or I've got a game, it's the priority sleep. I got to sleep, I got to rest, and then wake up and then eat. But it depends on the day.
And then, are you the one to have evening desserts, or do you leave room for the morning meal?
You know, the thing about Ramadan is you get a lot of cravings, yeah? So even though I want pasta and rice, I also want maybe chocolate or a donut. Just because you haven't eaten, you just want that. So I just eat anything, to be honest. I'm hungry, anything will do for me.
And we spoke about this a little bit earlier. Would you prefer to have solid foods then, or liquid foods if you had to choose one to set you up for the rest of the day?
Solid foods, 100%.
Yeah. And then, final question, what's harder, the first day of Ramadan or the last day, when you're sort of looking forward to what you can do?
The first day is hardest, because it's the first day, so obviously,
Depending
on how you prepared for Ramadan, if you haven't been fasting before it, it's going to be a shock to your body. And the last day is definitely the easiest, because your body, on the 30th day, your body's already used to it.
Do you not find yourself looking at the clock, waiting for it to finish, or are you completely right?
On the last day of Ramadan, it's more sadness, you're sad that it's coming to an end. You're like I said, it's for us Muslims, it's the best month of the year. It's the most spiritual month for us, so it is sad when Ramadan ends. Yeah.
Perfect, Cheick. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That is all that we have time for in today's episode of Fasting with a Footballer. Once again, Cheick, thank you, and best of luck with your recovery from your injury and for the rest of the season. Thank you, and goodbye.